mute yours again. Here, hold on. All right, got it. All right, let's go ahead. We go the first step, which is to wash the hands. What are the doctors telling us? Wash the hands, wash the hands, wash the hands. So we do the first washing because we're going to eat for the first time. Since we're not eating a real meal, it's just an appetizer. So you don't wash the hands with the blessing, but it's to prepare us into this. So I don't know if you can see it. I've got my little cup. It looks a little ghostly. It's because of the setup that I have here. Okay, there's my washing mug, and we now go without any blessing, and we go to the first. So here's an opportunity. If I don't know if any of you eaten yet or not, but you have an opportunity to have a little nibble, and we take some kind of herb. Usually we take, modern customs take parsley. Other Jewish communities would take radishes or other vegetables, any vegetable actually. And you take it and you dip it into the salt water. And I have some salt water. This salt water is actually red, like the Nile River after the first plague. And the reason is because I use Himalayan salt, and it's a red salt. So we say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu borei adama. And now, okay, can you see it here? I'm holding in my hand, depends on the lighting, matzot. I have the 3 matzot. We come to, it's called yachatz. 3 matzot, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or Cohen, Levi, and Yisrael, or 2 matzahs, which are always on every festival, plus 1 special one for the Pesach matzah, represent Pesach. Right? So all sorts of interpretations why 3. We take the middle one and we say yachatz, break it up on the middle one. Excuse me. All right, and I take out half of the middle one, and it will become the afikoman. Okay, and if you see, I have my little bag for the afikoman, and we'll hide it. Whoever is able to find it, you're welcome to it. Whatever you can do. All right, the afikoman is put away. Yachatz, and now. One of our members, Andrea, has prepared us some songs. So I put some of them into our service, and some of them there at the end for your listening pleasure. And I leave it up to Andrea. If you want them to sing along with you, you can tell me. If not, right? Here we go. Let's see if I'm getting it up now. There you go, Andrea.
Now let's sing about the Afikomen to the tune of Oklahoma. Afikomen every year, I know that I am cursed. After it's been hit, some other kid is the one who always finds it first. Afikomen, if I had a better pair of eyes, I could have some fun. I'd be the one who would get to claim the special prize. God brought us to the promised land, and the land that he gave us is grand. But when I say, oy vey, I'm only saying, Lord, please let me find it. All that I want is to find the Afikomen. Amen.
Okay, let's give a... Let's give a round of applause to Andrea. Just go ahead, clap. That's right. That's right. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead to the story. All right, see, from now we're okay. I'm going to get to the story behind the Seder, where we start recounting the Seder. And our first step is to identify the matzah, what it means. And we took a piece and we broke it up. And now we want to know, well, what does it mean, this matzah that we just broke up? So we have a song. It is in Aramaic. Aramaic is the language of the time as our Jewish traditions were being composed and compiled, or the time of the Roman Empire, and the time just prior to the destruction of the Temple in Jerusalem, and then in the centuries afterwards. It became the language that was in its day like Yiddish or Ladino, the language of the Jews in addition to the language, the Hebrew language. So we take the matzah, so we can see it, and we say, halach ma'anya. And it is to say, lachma'anya, the bread of affliction, the poor bread, the difficult bread, the bread that is difficult to digest. And this is the bread I ate in Egypt. All those who are hungry, let them come and eat. All those who are in need, come and make the Pesach service with us. Hashtahacha, we are here now, but next year in the land of Israel, now we are slaves. Next year, B'nai Chorin. Right now, we feel like we are slaves. We're locked in our houses. Next year, we'll be out together.
Could you mute everyone again, Rabbi, so we can hear you?
Okay. So
yeah, we can't hear you.
Okay.
So I heard.
We're going to sing it through. Okay. Here we go. Make sure the microphone's a little closer.
You're in person.
Anya liachalu av hatana be'ara de'Mitzrayim kodifin Hashata Lishana Haba Be'ara Yisrael Hashata Avdei Lishana Haba Be'ai Chorin B'nei Chorin. All right, this year.
You have a beautiful voice, Rabbi.
Thank you. I'm going to put up some nicer voices than mine even. All right, from Manishtana, we all know Manishtana. I don't think I have to explain it to you. That is that we have to make the children curious and want them to ask questions. So these are very well presentations. Folks are curious with
Manishtana layla ze mikol שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה. הלילה הזה, הלילה כולו מצה. הלילה הזה, הלילה כולו מצה. מכל הלילות שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות. הלילה הזה, הלילה כולו מאור. הלילה הזה, הלילה כולו Manishtana הלילה הזה מכל הלילות שבכל הלילות איננו מגבילים אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה שתהיה פעמים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה שתהיה פעמים.
I think all of you are familiar with these 4 questions, that the idea behind them is to provoke and prompt the child's curiosity. And even if there are no children and only old timers, who also must ask these questions to provoke a discussion, right? So why do we eat matzah only this night? Why do we eat bitter herbs this night? Why do we dip twice? Why do we recline? The truth is that we only get answers to 2 of the 4 questions. You notice that. Nobody ever gives you the answer of why we dip twice. Nobody gives you the answer of why we recline. They are rhetorical questions. Right? Our interest is to provoke the children or the child in us to ask. And that brings me to a beautiful story that I found here of the great Nobel scientist Isidore Rabi, and an insight about how we should work, how our minds should work. And he was asked, why did you become a scientist rather than a doctor or a lawyer, businessman, like all the other good Jewish kids? And he said, my mother made me a scientist without intending it. Every other Jewish mother in Brooklyn would ask the child after school, no, did you learn anything today? But not my mother. She always asked me a different question. Izzy, she said, did you ask a good question today? And that difference, asking a good question, made me become a scientist. By the way, that is an interesting aside on Jewish thinking. Notice what you said about all the parents asking children, what did the children learn in school? My father would tell me that in his little town in East Europe, he would walk down the street and everybody would ask him, "Nu, was hast du gelernt heute?" What is it that you learned today? In other words, not just the parents asked, but every person in town wanted you to know that you are supposed to be learning something. And think of the impact that that makes in shaping the mind to solve problems. If we wonder why there's so many Isidore Rabbis among the Jewish community, percentage-wise, is this asking questions, people asking people and wondering what is it that you're learning, what is it that you have covered today? Well, we have to have an answer. Every child deserves an answer. Every question deserves an answer. And so, like all good Jews, you ask a question, you get how many answers? 2 answers, right? It's not enough to have an answer. We come up with 2 answers. If you ever watch the Seder in its structure, I'm going to put this in front, there are 2 answers actually. The first one is an answer about, well, we were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt. But the second one was that we were idol worshippers. I can't give you one answer. That's being Jewish. No, you got a question, you got 2 answers. All right, so here's the first question, which is, Avadim hayinu leFaro b'Mitzrayim. We were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt. Yotzenu hayinu misham. Biyad chazaka b'zronatu. God took us out with a strong arm and an outstretched hand. And if He had not taken us out, right? Ilu lo hotzi kadosh baruch hu avotenu Mitzrayim. Hari anu v'anenu v'nei v'anenu. Mishablim hayinu leFaro b'Mitzrayim. If He hadn't taken us out, we would still be slaves today. Even if we're all wise and wonderfully brilliant and know the entire Torah, we are commanded to teach the Exodus. However, whoever increases in talking about the Exodus, that person is to be praised. Right? There is a song for this. Some of you may know, it's just the first 3 words or 4 words in this one. And if you want to sing along, but trouble is there's a little delay time, so try to sing in time with me. It goes, Avadim hayinu leFaro, b'Mitzrayim b'ata b'nei horin. Avadim hayinu. Ata b'nei chorin, avadim hayinu. Ata b'nei chorin. And now I'm going to give you a different version of this song, which is from, and Joe and Tatiana, this one's for you, because this is the way it was done. The introduction, it's a combination of we were slaves and also the Halach with John, the father of Moroccan Jewish music.
On remplira le 2e vers et on récite la Haggadah. Il est de coutume que le maître de maison lève le plateau de Pâques,
You pick up
le
the
passe sur
table
les têtes des convives en chantant.
and you say,
אתמול היינו עבדים, היום בני חורין, היום כאן, לשנה הבאה בערד ישראל, בני חורין, והילו יצאנו ממצרים, הנחמה עניה בני חורין. הנחמה עניה בני חורין. הלחמה עניה תאכלו אבותינו בארעד מצרים, כל דכפין יתה ויכול, כל דצריך יתה ויפסח, השטח לשנה הבאה בארעד ישראל, השטח עבדי לשנה הבאה בארעד ישראל, בני חורין.
notice.
It's Moroccan. It's a Moroccan
Moroccan,
tradition.
yes. Right. He's the father of modern, we'll say, he is to the Moroccan Jewish music like Karlebach was to the Hasidic music, brought it back into mainstream, started mainstreaming it into the, certainly in Israel, but also then spread in American Jewish community to some extent also. And so he goes back to the 70s. What's interesting, you notice the foods on the table that were in the picture, they're green beans. Ashkenazim don't know from green beans on Pesach, right? Like not beans and not rice. Charlie used the beans and rice, so that's in the illustration.
And the chickpeas too.
Chickpeas, right? Full is beans, right? And we also
The fresh beans. We make the fresh beans. We made a soup with the fresh beans.
Fresh beans, yeah. Also, the text is a little different. It's the Sephardic text, so it combines the Avadim Hayinu with the Halach Ma'anya in it as he's chanting it. Well, we know then that also you have four questions, you get two answers to every question, but then you've got four kinds of children, and each child needs to have a different question, different answer for the different question. We're all familiar with this, the Arba Banim. Today we say the four children because we want the girls to ask the questions, not just the boys, right? But we continue, Baruch HaMakom, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shonatan Torah Moiseh, Baruch Hu, Keneged Arba Banim Dibra Torah, Echad Chacham, Bechad Rasha, Bechad Taham, Bechad Sheno Yedei Elisha. One is wise, one is wicked, one is simple, one who knows not how to ask. And notice the illustration. I picked up some illustrations. You can see the children, going from the left to the right, the one who's very introspective, the one with a smirk on his face, the one who's got the what me look, and the one who says, I don't know what you want from me. An illustration from 1924 Budapest. And each child has a different kind of question. And you can read this back and forth with me. Why don't we alternate? I'll read a line, narrator. What does the wise child say? What are these testimonies, the statutes and judgments the Lord has commanded you? I'm going to do something here also, which is pull up a spotlight here, right? Now you can see where I'm pointing. You must tell us some of the laws of Pesach from the Mishnah, for example. The response, we do not proceed to any afikoman after eating the Pesach lamb. Rasha Maromer. What does the wicked child say? What does this service mean to you? The child emphasizes to you and not to himself or herself, since the child excludes himself or herself from the community, rejects a major principle of faith. You should set that child's teeth on edge and say, it is because of this that I did for me when I went free from Egypt. Me and not that one. Had that one been there, he or she would not have been redeemed. And you can see the illustration, another illustration, 1927, the wise child at the desk and the wicked child partying around. And the comment says that the wicked child basically wants to embarrass the parents. He says, well, this is your party, not my party. All right, so we continue. And what does the simple child ask? Mazot. What is this? And you shall say to that child, by a mighty hand, I will brought us out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. As for the child who does not know, you should prompt that child and say, on that day, is because of this that they did for me when I went free from Egypt. Okay, so now a little more, some other illustrations from earlier Haggadot. This one of 1879 Haggadah in Chicago. Here's an immigrant family. The fathers and the mother, they have the children sitting around them, and who stands out in this illustration? It's always the bad kid, right? The one who stands out, he's smoking, he's smoking a cigarette, what's going to happen to him? The father's looking in dismay, mother's looking away. Well, the good boy sitting in his corner, you can see, and right, he's in the book. The one, the simple one, raises his hand, and the other one just sits quietly. And then we have this illustration, Arthur Jick. It is a 1939 Haggadah or 1937 Haggadah. He did it in Poland, but the Polish government would not allow it to be printed, primarily because of this character, because you see, put a little tiny mustache there. And if you look very closely in the illustration, it looks like Hitler for the wicked son. Right? In the German hunting costume, here's the wise son in a nice Hasidic garb, looking very intelligent. The Tom, the simple one, looking like a simpleton, but asking a question. And then the one who is what we used to call a Proshtayid, a Pushtak in Israeli Hebrew, a gangster type. He's just, off the streets, doesn't know anything, right? All the kinds of kids we have. Here, a 1920 version of the same story. The wise one, the boxer, right? Jews didn't become boxers. Actually, we had major Jewish champions, right? The simple one and the one who can't ask a question. Then we have the Marx Brothers. It's a Groucho. What is it? Groucho, Chico, Harpo, and Zeppo. There's also a Gummo. Actually, I found out. Okay, so Groucho made himself, I guess who did it? Made Groucho the wise man. Now, as I said, we have 4 versions of the answer. So the first one was we were slaves. This one is in the beginning, our ancestors were idol worshippers. And now God has brought us to serve Adonai. And the Haggadah is a Bible study text. So you have a statement, and you have to give a proof text. And your proof text is from Joshua, who gave just this speech. When he called on the children of Israel as they prepared to enter the land of Israel, he says, remember that your ancestors worshipped other gods. And God took Abraham from the foreign land of the other side of the Euphrates River, Ever HaNahar, the word Ivri, the one who has crossed the river and come to the land of Canaan, and now brought you down to Egypt and brought you out. Right? That is the origin. And now we recall that as God promised Abraham and would bring them out, so recall that promise in all generations. V'hi she'amda l'avotenu belanu. So here is a version of V'hi she'amda, a very modern version, from an Israeli singer by the name of Yaakov Shweki, and he's joined by Shlomi Shabbat, another very popular Israeli singer. V'hi she'amda, that, or the one, notice it's feminine, who has stood for us and for our fathers. shall continue to stand on us in all generations, because although in every generation there have been those who've tried to wipe us out, you have stood by your promise. There we go.
ושעמדת לעבוד עוד צריכים אותנו שאלוהיך עמד עלינו לכלותנו עמד עלינו לכלותנו לכבוד שלום ושבת והיא שעמדה לעבודנו והיא שעמדה לעבודנו ולנו שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו עמד עלינו לכלותנו והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מצילנו עם ידיו והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מצילנו עם ידיו בשבילך והיא שעמדה לאבותינו והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו עומד כל רגע לכלותנו והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מצילנו מידם והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מצילנו מידם שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו לכלותנו הקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו הקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו ירדו la 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 Thank you, שלומי שבת, ממש מהנשמה. תודה רבה.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you give us your Amar again with the Bebelu.
I'll pull Joamar. I don't have another Joamar, but I have different things coming up, and we can always. You can always go back.
He died, no? Is he still alive?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I'll figure it out.
All right. So we have to have the answer, and we build again always a text of the Torah, an explanation with proof text. That's the classic structure of the Haggadah. So the answer we always give is the text of the Exodus, but we take the short version, which is found in Dvarim, which is the version that was used in the temple when people brought their gifts to the temple, the first fruit. And we recited, Arami Oved Avi, Vayired Mitzrayma V'Gasham B'Imtei Ma'at. And every Jew would recite it from the king down to the simplest person as they brought their offerings. My answer was a wandering Aramean. He descended to Egypt and resided there in small numbers, became a great nation. God saw our affliction and our cries and brought us up to the land of milk and honey. So the rest of the Haggadah at this point becomes an explanation line by line, word by word of this declaration. So we know in the story of Egypt that we have the first sense of anti-Semitism in its very primitive form. Let's say not primitive, actually very sophisticated form. When the Egyptians see Gadol Vatsum, he become very great and powerful. Shnema, as it says, the children of Israel were fruitful and multiplied, became very, very powerful. And the whole land was filled with them. Well, the whole land. We know the children of Israel were only in the land of Goshen, which is just a nice little area off somewhere by the beach as the Nile dumps out into the Mediterranean. That's not the whole land. But for the Egyptians, it looked like Jews were everywhere. Right? That's part of their paranoia. And we know Pharaoh says they've become more powerful than us. Right? Let's get wise before they go against us. And so we have that beginning, right? And so God sees the treatment and the hardships that they imposed upon us, and they persecuted us, gave us hard labor. And then we cried out unto Adonai, and Israel groaned from under the labor, and God heard our voice. So there's a comment you see here on the side. I want you to see this comment from the Rebbe of Gur about why it was important that we cried out. He said the sigh, the groan, and the crying out of the children of Israel from the slavery was the beginning of redemption. As long as they did not cry out against their exile, they were neither worthy nor ready for redemption. You know, when does the slave become ready? As long as the slave is resigned to his lot and says, that's my lot in life, I'm a slave, that's what's going to be, he's going to stay, she's going to stay a slave. It's a mentality. When the slave begins to say, enough, God help me, at that moment, that's the first step in recognizing, and that can be true of political slavery, economic slavery, it can be true of emotional slavery, of addiction, any kind of thing that enslaves or controls us, right? So now we're going to go outside, we're worried about the plague, we're going to say, no, we are not going to be enslaved by the plague. We're waiting, we're going to work with our doctors, we're going to work with our health officials, we're going to make sure we take our steps, we're going to beat it, and that's how it's going to happen. That's where the redemption will come, right? The same thought. Okay, now, let no one say that we ignored the women. Who were responsible for the Exodus? If not for Miriam, there'd be no Moses in the court, right? If not for Miriam, there'd be no singing and dancing in the Red Sea. If not for Miriam, we're told that there would be no water in the desert. And if not for the women, there would be no children. And so there's this very interesting story based on the Midrash that says that he saw our oppression. What's the worst form of oppression is destruction of the family relationship between the husband and the wife, between the spouses, and the separation of the spouses. because the men had said, well, let's not have kids because they're just going to get killed. And the women said, no, we don't give up. So here's a story about it was the women who made possible the continuity and the liberation. And this midrash is a beautiful midrash, and I'll read it with you. Read it along with me. When Israel performed hard labor in Egypt, tragically, the men must not sleep in their homes. So they would not engage in sexual relations.
They were not engaged in sexual relations.
Rabbi Shimon bar Halafta said, what did the daughters of Israel do? They went down to draw water from the Nile, and God would bring little fish into their jars. They cooked some of the fish and sold the rest, buying wine with the proceeds. And then they went out to the fields and fed their husbands. And after eating and drinking, the women would take out bronze mirrors and look at them with their husbands, and the wife would say, I'm prettier than you. And the husband would reply, I'm more beautiful than you. And thus they would arouse themselves to desire, and then they would be fruitful and multiply. Right? It was
That's why we are here.
who enticed the men to have children that saved the Jewish people. Thank God for mothers. And here's another story for us. Also going back to the camps. You know, because there's so much that people talk about, well, we feel like maybe we're in a concentration camp. Camps were much worse. There's no comparison. But there are all sorts of lessons that we have seen. And I know this one in person. Not this particular person, but I know an exact example of this. His story about a man who lived in an old neighborhood in Talpiot in Jerusalem, an eccentric man. He would go to the synagogue every Shabbat, and he would fill his pockets with kugel. He would take more than anybody else could. So finally, they won because the man was a very wealthy man. Talpiot in those days was a very big, rich, expensive neighborhood. Big, beautiful houses. Why would a man be so desperate for a piece of cake? So somebody asked him, and he said, I was in the concentration camps in Poland. There was never enough bread. I have never liberated myself from my fear that tomorrow there may not be any more bread. All right? That experience lived with us.
Understandable.
Okay? So we pray that we should always have our daily bread. Jacob Ransom said, all I want is come back to my home, have lechem lechol beged levosh. Give me some bread to eat and give me some clothes on my body, and I'll be very happy, God, and I'll be thanking you.
You know, Rabbi Weisberg,
Go ahead.
I just finished reading Primo Levi, Survival in Auschwitz.
Ah.
And I found his work extremely wonderful and inspiring during this time.
Oh.
Yeah, Primo Levi, an Italian Jew. He's
Right.
several
Right. He's one of the great voices of the Shoah.
He committed suicide. Joyce.
Yeah, you know what? They think
Died,
actually
he committed
suicide now
suicide.
because he wasn't suicidal and had no symptoms of depression. What they're coming back to the fact that it was just a tragic accident.
Yes, I believe it was an accident too, not.
Yeah, that is
was an accident. The way he
it's
died.
relatively rare that the survivors committed suicide.
Right.
Their survival rate after was pretty good. I guess if you went through that, everything else in life was easy.
They wouldn't give the Nazis a satisfaction of killing them.
Yeah, I think so. That's right. I'm going to
What
live
is
just
the
to,
name? What is the name of the
just
book?
out of spite for you.
Primo Levi.
Primo Levi. Yeah.
Levi.
Can you hold it up again, please?
You can Google his name, Primo.
Oh, okay.
Primo, yeah, Levi. He is, I think,
Thank you.
right after Elie Wiesel, maybe the best known name of those who documented the Holocaust and their experiences. Now, we were liberated. We know it was done with 10 plagues. And we think of the Egyptians, and it's interesting that as angry as we should have been at the Egyptians, later on the Bible says, Lo tita'ev Mitzri, you shall not abhor an Egyptian. They gave us a home. Maybe it wasn't the best home, but they gave us a home in Egypt, and we recall that. And later on the Bible is generally not so angry at the Egyptians of antiquity. They're angry at them when they failed their allies in Judea, but not so much angry at the Egyptians as a people. And so we think of the suffering of the Egyptians also. We take the cup, and as we take the cup, there's a custom, you're familiar with it, to take out a drop for each of the plagues. And then some say, let's take out a drop also for all those who suffered, the innocents who are suffering now at this time, an extra drop. It's hard to be as happy as you'd want to be because so many people live in fear and pain and suffering around the world. And we wait for this to end too. So we recite, Dam,
Badeya,
Kini,
Ini,
Aro,
Aro, Daver,
Shechin, Marad,
Marad,
Arbe,
Arbe,
Horshe, Makabeforo. So it's blood, frogs, lice, wild beasts, cattle plague. Well, plague is never. That's what we have now. Boils, hail, locusts. Locusts actually was a tremendous plague in Africa now of locusts. Darkness, Hochek. We certainly don't feel very bright now. Makat Bechorot, there are a lot of people, old and young, who are getting hit. So we want none of these plagues upon us or on anyone.
We have a plague right now. We have the Corona plague.
Corona plagues, they should pass us over and pass over all the houses as the plague passed over the houses of the Israelites. And here's a song out of American non-Jewish tradition, which we all are familiar with, right? Because slaves, it makes no matter how long ago, whether it was way back then or now, it makes no difference whether it was this continent or that continent, of white race, black race, or any nation. All people deserve to be free. So let's sing this one, which is an American, African-American spiritual going back to the time of the Civil War. When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. So hard they could not stand. Let my people go. Go down, Moses. Go down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh. Let my people go. Thus said the Lord, Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll smite your firstborn dead. Let my people go. Go down. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Hello, Pharaoh. Let my people go. And of course, we give thanks for all the wonders that we had, and we say we got so much blessing. Dayenu, even the first one we did enough Dayenu, and we come in with the song Dayenu. And I have a musical version of Dayenu for you here. Hold on. What happened here? That's right. Let's go back to my message.
How long ago was this?
Here we go.
What Passover was this?
Look over there.
I got this right. Give it a second.
I just drank some wine.
And why are you doing this to me? Here we go. Now.
Well, let's say it's Vahisha Amda.
It should be. Here we go. No, it should be the next one on the list. Next. There we go. Dayenu. And different versions of Dayenu. We don't have to do all of them because it repeats several times, but we'll go through them.
Is this a house or synagogue? What is this?
Ilu ilu hotianu hotianu mi mitzrayim hotianu mi mitzrayim dayenu 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 Ilu ilu koralanu etayam dayenu 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 Echilanu etaman dayenu 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 Hey! 2, 3, 4 Ilu natan lanu et hashabat natan lanu dayenu dayenu dayenu
Now I'm going to move ahead now. Watch this one.
Aviva, it's time to open the door for Eliyahu.
So I want to give you a little playback of Jewish history. Hold on, where did that just go? Disappeared on me. Okay, what did this do? Wait a minute. Okay, let me move this down here.
Rabbi, that was terrific. That was
Okay.
just
You know, it's the Exodus is not something one time only. Right? We know that. The Exodus is seen in every generation. So I'm going through the Exodus, especially in our times. I'm going to share that with you. A few clips of different versions of the Exodus in our generation.
I think you are no longer sharing your screen, Rabbi.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you're not.
Hold
You're not.
on. There we
I
go.
know.
Wait. Okay. Wait a minute. Wait. Oh, that's it. There's a step here.
Oh, that looks good.
There we go. This is Exodus 1947.
Wow.
Yeah.
go to another exodus, right? Jews came from all around the world. These are Jews from Yemen. And this is why you should always fly Alaska Airlines when you can. Alaska Airlines.
Huh. Alaska Airlines.
And then we have Jews from Iraq.
Oh.
And our original footage from the arrival of Jews from the Soviet Union. This is going back to the 1970s. There are several waves of Jews coming out of the Soviet Union. This one doesn't have a soundtrack, so I'm going to narrate. But starting in around the end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s was one wave. And then there was a little let up towards the end of the 80s.
Wow.
As Reagan started to put pressure. And then as the Soviet Union fell, the rest of the Jews came out of the Soviet Union, so that they are now a significant part of the Israeli population, a significant part of Los Angeles population also. We know that.
Yeah.
And so here they are landing at Lud, arriving from the Soviet Union. To get out of the Soviet Union, one risked one's life, one risked one's property, one's possessions. One had to get a big chunk of money to pay for an exit visa, because the Soviets said that you got education at their expense, you have to pay back the education you got.
Oh.
Right. That's why we pay for our education here in college, right? So nobody can come and say pay back.
Right.
You can see this footage here, the visas. I have close family members, my children, grandchildren, children of those who left the Soviet Union. All right, so that's even, right? A lot of us remember that still. That was within, many of us were already young adults, middle-aged adults, landing and taking off to the new homes. The last one, the most recent massive immigration from Ethiopia. My son's partner was one of the pilots in the first operation to take them out.
ב-24 במאי 1991 החל צה"ל במבצע שלמה להצלת שארית יהודי אתיופיה. רכבת אווירית העלתה ארצה בתוך יומיים כמעט את כל יהודי ביתא ישראל שנותרו שם אחר.
How they did that. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. It is this one. Now we got it. Now I'm doing.
My baby.
No,
One second.
with Alan Block at the Jewish Cable Television Network as Director of Advertising, and we had a mention.
Hold on 1 second. This is playing some games with me. I'm sorry.
And I just wanted to share with you that at the luncheon in the textile manufacturing downtown, there was a luncheon to airlift the Ethiopian Jews, which were at the time a derogatory term called the Falasha Jews.
Right.
And they raised hundreds of thousands of dollars in that 1 hour luncheon that we had. It was amazing in the garment industry what they did.
Okay, very good. Oh, here are the video clips from that flight out. This is in 1990. There was the large, and that was well organized. Israel was able to organize this one, but before there was another one going back in the 80s. In fact, it was made a subject of a Netflix movie. So my son's partner was one of the pilots of that first wave of people flying out. Now I'm going to go back.
Alaska Airlines was a big hero in the day to fly Jewish.
Oh, yeah. These are very dangerous missions. All of them were dangerous missions. They had to go literally under the radar. They had to bribe their way to bribe countries, complete countries, to get through, basically because they were enemy countries. In all of these airlifts, that was the case. So we're going to start to move forward in every generation. And by the way, if anybody has been waiting to eat, I will go ahead and start. We'll make them utzi eventually. Don't want to leave anybody hungry. But we're told that in every generation, each one is supposed to see himself or herself as if he or she personally left Egypt. Each one has his own personal Egypt to leave. And we try to do this in a little bit of a modern form then. And I have Andrea, right, somewhere here. Let me see if I can get it to come on with a little modern version of the story of the Exodus. If I can get this thing to connect. Right, it's harder because I think what's happening is we're getting, wait a minute, let's see this. It's not doing the playlist. Okay. All right, here we go. Is this coming on? There we go. Here we go. Here we go. This one.
Thank you. Shlomi Shabbat.
And turn this one off. There we go. And now, this is what I wanted to get.
Here's one for us called
Andrea again.
Hey Jews.
Okay.
Hey Jews, don't be afraid. You were made to escape Mitzrayim. In Sinai, the Lord will help you to live, and He will give you all Samayim. Hey Jews, it's time to start. God will part all the Red Sea waters. Remember, pack matzah and be real brave. God's gonna save your sons and daughters. The Lord will free you from your pain, the whip, the chain. Have faith and you'll all be happy later. Hey Jews, your tales from days of old will all be told by descendants at your Seder. Da 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 da. Hey Jews, don't be afraid. You were made to escape Mitzrayim. In Sinai, the Lord will help you to live, and He will give you all Samayim. And He will give you all Samayim, Mayim, 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 Mayim. Da 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 da. Hey Jews. Da 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 da. Hey Jews. Da 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 da. Hey Jews. Da 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 da. Hey Jews.
Thank you, Andrea, again. Let's Andrea Beth Vassilev. Give her a round of applause again. Andrea, you hanging in there?
I'm here.
Okay, there we go.
Agit Tevoch, Rabbi Sai, Amtsen Azai Girabela, Malke Tuim Bardichev, mit der gewaltige Sigile, singen in Julia nur Versuche la Tov, Agit Tevoch.
There we go. It's not a Agit Tevoch yet. Okay, so in each generation, we had to see ourselves as if we left Egypt. And we add Hallel in here, and I'm going to try to wrap up because I have so much here, and I know it's going to be a long evening, so I want to try to wrap this up. B'tzeit Yisrael, do you know the song B'tzeit Yisrael? From the Hallel, we can sing that together. B'tzeit Yisrael, Beit Yaakov, Am Lois, Aita Yehuda Lekocho, Yisrael, Mamshelota, Ayam Ra'ara, Ayano, Ayadei, Sov Neachar, E'arim, Rakeduchelim, Gevaot, Kivnetzon, Malecha Hayam, Malecha Hayam, Kitanus, Kitanus. That's actually a different melody. Hayaden, Hayaden, Tishov Leachot, Tishov Leachot, Harim, Harim, Tikidu Helim, Tikidu Helim, Gevaot, Gevaot, Kivnetzon, Kivnetzon, Milifne Adon, Uli Aretz, milifnei Elah Yaakov al Piador Agamayim Halamish Lemaino Ma'im. So we got 2 more to go, and we say Baruch Adonai Cholam Asher Ga'alnu V'Galet Avotenu Mitzrayim. Blessed are you, Lord, who redeemed us and our ancestors from Egypt, brought us to this evening to eat the matzah, the maror. May we, like God of our ancestors, achieve the privilege to celebrate holidays and festivals as we did in the days of yore, rebuilding of the offerings of the temple in our modern version. And we say, praise for the redemption of our souls. Baruch Atanai Al Yisrael. Praise are you, Lord of Israel. Baruch Atanai Cholam Borei Pri.
Amen.
Amen. I get to drink all the wine here. I'm sorry, can't share with you. Now we got the real hand washing, Rachatza. This one's done with the blessing. So again, the doctors say, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. I've got it here. And I say, Baruch Atah Adonai Machalam Netilat
Yadayim.
And now we're just moving forward. We have the elements of the Seder, the motzi matzah, eating the matzah, and then the...
Can we drink now?
Let me check which one I'm on now. Motzi matzah, going to take the first piece of matzah, make the blessing of the matzah, take it out of my matzah case, and recite together, Baruch Atah Adonai Cholam. Hold on. Something got chopped off in this version. There we go. First the matzah. Well, first with the mitzvah of matzah. Yeah, he made a little mistake in here. Baruch Atah Adonai Cholam Hamotzi Lechem Min Haaretz. And the second blessing, Baruch Atah Adonai Cholam Asher Kishav Mitzvanu Al Achilat Matzah.
Amen.
The note here says that if you don't want to eat it dry, you can dip it in the salt water in the harosa to let it go down a little bit faster. A very, very good Jew will eat the entire piece of matzah in one shot. I'm not going to try it. And then the maror. So maror in Ashkenazic tradition was the horseradish. If you see it up here, I'm holding it on the screen. Maror, horseradish. I use the root for it. I guess that's the root for it. But the old tradition, original was actually an herb like lettuce, because they said lettuce when it's fresh is sweet, but as you let it sit too long, it gets bitter. The Egyptians were nice with us, and then they got bitter, like the lettuce. So you can use whatever you like for the maror. Take the maror and you add a little haroset, like a spoonful of haroset helps the medicine go down, right? You know that song, and one of these song medleys has that in it, I think, here. And we say, adding the haroset remind us of the bricks, the cement. You let this haroset sit long enough, you can build a house with it. We say, Baruch Atah Adonai Cholam Asher Kishav Mitzvanu Al Achilat Maror.
Yeah, maror.
Rabbi Norbert, they had when the people didn't have money for the carpet, a certain one for borei pri hadama, they ate a potato.
Potato was also, potato was very common. Radishes, any kind of vegetable, exactly.
And also, when you eat a matzah, I learned that you only you can eat just one just take a bite of matzah after the blessing. If you really don't like matzah, it's not commanded that you always have to, you don't eat bread, but you don't have to continue.
Only the first night. Only first night. If somebody has a sensitive stomach.
After the blessing, yeah.
Yeah. Also,
right.
there was an option of eating egg matzah, although it wasn't considered sufficient for the mitzvah itself. And the egg matzah was a way of cheating because it's a matzah without being a matzah. It's not made with water. And then we have the korech, and we take the first sandwich. Before McDonald's, before the Earl of Sandwich, there was Hillel, who would take matzah, the maror, and he would take the lamb, but we don't have the lamb anymore in our Seder. Sfardim do eat lamb, am I right?
Yeah.
Sfardim custom still. Ashkenazi custom not to. They wanted to keep it distinct.
What do we eat? Chicken?
Chicken, yeah. What can I tell you? Depends on or chicken brisket. That's it. But Hillel would use the lamb of Seder, the Pesach offering itself, right? So we don't have that, but we have our sandwich. That you eat it, as the Bible says, together with the matzah and the maror.
I have the maror in the kitchen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to move ahead to other key elements of the Seder. And at this point, for those of you who have your dinners ready for you, go ahead and enjoy them. If you ate before, it's okay. I won't tell anybody. We find them at the Afikoman. And nobody has found the Afikoman, so nobody gets a prize. I found it. That's it.
You have to do a prayer after
You found it. Give yourself a prize.
Yeah. There's no prayer here. Let's see everybody here.
Find the Afikoman.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a big crowd here. I'm going to shrink us back down. Just a small panel here. Okay. So you're going to have the Afikoman. We'll do Birkat HaMazon if you're actually eating. And we would do the Birkat HaMazon. I'm just going to move ahead, though, in the order of the day. And go ahead to the third cup of, a third cup of wine, because I need our third cup of wine in order to get to the next element that I want. So the third cup of wine, all right, each one, we would take a little bit, add to the wine. If you're really good, you should drink a full cup of wine for each one.
Yeah, that's what
Which means that if a policeman stops you afterwards, you have an excuse for having a high alcohol count. And we raise our cup again and say, Hineni Muchanim Zuman, here I am ready to perform the mitzvah of the third cup. Baruch Atah Mecholam, Borei Pri Hagafen. I wish I could have been able to serve you with dinner. Maybe next year we do a nice setting. One of our members takes care of preparing the food, Carmen, and it's always very good, and there's a mix. So there's always something that everybody can enjoy.
When are you going to invite us?
Huh? Next year.
Why next year?
All right.
Why don't we do it in the summer?
Hey, we might do Pesach Sheni, which is, it was custom to do Pesach Sheni for somebody who couldn't come to the temple because he would be impure. So a month later, he could come and do his offering. Maybe we'll do it that way. Anyway, we come to Elijah. We can't do without Elijah. Elijah is the symbol of redemption. It is said that Elijah didn't trust the Jewish people. He was angry at his people, and God said, okay, Elijah, as a punishment, you're not going to die. You're going to hang around, and you're going to come to every bris, and you're going to see that my people still bring the children into the covenant. You come around to every Seder, and you're going to see that they are still celebrating me taking them out of Egypt. And so Elijah comes, and the verse for Elijah is a very strange verse, because it says, pour your wrath on the nations that did not know you. Why would that be? Because it would be at this time that when Jews lived in Europe, they would be blamed for all the plagues or whatever was going wrong.
Yeah.
And they would be accused of using blood for the matzah. So it is said they would open the door at this time to show the neighbors there's nothing to hide, nothing to hide. Do you know that this blood accusation is still being thrown out against Jews? In Italy, a major Italian artist, did a depiction of Jews killing an infant.
Yeah.
It's an evil story, and he recreated the story in his picture just this year. And out of the Palestinians, you get these reports, and they're being broadcast. Jews are using Palestinians. They're not giving services to Palestinians. They're letting Palestinians die. They're letting the people in Gaza, which is not true because they're the only ones supplying them with medicine. Nobody else is bringing medicine into them. So we see this libel, people so eager to blame us. But we also look at this one. So we let our anger out at that time. Also this verse, which was also from Haggadah in the 1500s, which is for those of the Gentiles who watched us and protected us. They said, pour out your love on the nations who have known you, and the kings who call upon your name, for they show you loving kindness to the seed of Jacob, and defend your people Israel from those who would devour them alive. May they live to see the sukkah of peace spread over them and over your chosen ones. Participate in the joy of your nations. May those nations and peoples that have helped and protected the Jews, that saved Jews during the Holocaust, that helped Jews get out of the Soviet Union, the United States, other countries like that, that have helped us save the Jewish people. May they all share in this redemption. We all know Eliyahu Hanavi, the song Eliyahu Hanavi.
Hanavi, Eliyahu Hagiladi. Bimera beyamenu yavo aleinu Imoshiach ben David Imoshiach ben David.
Now I wanted to give you this version of Eliyahu. It's from a Hasidic group. It's Elijah, may he have blessed memory be.
Eliyahu Hanavi zachor latov, 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 Eliyahu Hanavi zachor latov. Eliyahu Hanavi zachor latov, 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 Eliyahu Hanavi zachor latov. Eliyahu Hanavi zachor latov, 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 Eliyahu Hanavi.
We're going to move ahead All these are on YouTube, and you'll have a chance if you want. I'll send out information where to find these again, so you can listen to them more. We want to wrap up. We come to the fourth cup and the Sfiat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer, because it's the second night of Pesach. We begin looking forward to the next holiday, which is Shavuot. Shavuot weeks, because we count 7 weeks, 49 days, and then the 50th day is Shavuot. So we raise a cup of wine for the last blessing over the wine. Baruch Atah Mechalam, Baruch Hagafen. Blessed are you, O Lord. Amen. And we drink.
The greatest.
We give thanks. Baruch Atah Mechalam, Ala Gefen, Val Priya Gefen, Val Tuvat Hasadeh. We give thanks to God for the vine and for the fruit of the vine. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ala Aretz Vala Gafen, for the land and for the fruit of the land, the fruit of the vine. And then we recite the Omer. Today is the first night of the Omer, and so we will count towards, as we go from slavery to intelligence. We'll call it that, with the 10 Commandments, the Revelation. Baruch Atah Adonai Mechalam, Asher Shalom Sotav Etzivanu Al Sirat HaOmer. Hayom Yom Echad LaOmer. Today is one day into the Omer. And now, I have, again, from Andrea, I have the famous counting song.
So this is called Who Knows What, my personal favorite Passover song. You go all the way up to 13, counting down things that you have, facets of Judaism. And on the very last one, you do them all in one breath. So you'll see. Ready? Who knows one?
I know one.
One is Hashem, one is Hashem, one is Hashem. Who knows two?
I know two.
Two are the tablets that Moshe brought. One is Hashem, one is Hashem, one is Hashem. Who knows three?
I know three.
Three are the tablets and two are the texts that Moshe brought. One is Hashem, one is Hashem, one is Hashem. Who knows four?
I know four.
Four are the mamas and two are the papas and two are the tablets that Moshe brought. One is Hashem, one is Hashem, one is Hashem. In heaven and earth. Who knows five?
I know five.
Five are the books that Torah. Four are the mamas and three are the papas and two are the tablets that Moshe brought. One is Hashem, one is Hashem, one is Hashem. In heaven and earth. Who knows six?
I know six.
Six are the books of Mishnah. Five are the books of Torah. Four are the mamas and three are the papas and two are the tablets that Moshe brought. One is Hashem, one is Hashem. One is Hashem, one is Hashem. Who knows seven?
I know seven.
Seven are the days of the week.
Seven are the days of the week.
Mishnah. Five are the books of Torah. Four are the books of Torah. Two are the mamas, three are the papas, and two are the tablets that Moshe brought. One is Hashem, one is Hashem. One is Hashem, one is Hashem. In the heavens and the earth.
I know eight.
Eight are the days before Three. Seven are the days of the week. Six are the books of Mishnah.
Six are the books of Mishnah. Five are the books of Torah. Four are the mamas, three are the papas, and two are the tablets that Moshe brought. One is Hashem, one is Hashem, one is Hashem. In the heavens and the earth.
I know nine.
Nine are the months before
I know
baby.
nine. Nine are the months before a baby is born. Eight are the days before birth. Seven are the days of the week.
Mishnah.
Six are the books of Mishnah. Five are the books of Torah. Four are the mamas, and three are the papas, and two are the tablets that Moshe brought.
One is Hashem, one is Hashem.
One is Hashem, one is Hashem. In the heavens and the earth.
Who knows 10?
I know 10.
10 are
I know 10. 10 are the days.
9 are the months before a baby is born. 8 are the days before a week.
8 are the
7 are
days
the days of the
before
week.
birth.
6 are the books of Mishnah. 5 are the books of
Mishnah.
Torah.
5 are the
4 are
books
the
of
mamas and 3
Torah.
are the
4
papas
are the
and 2 are
mamas,
the
3 are the
tablets that
papas,
Moshe
and 2 are the
brought.
tablets that
One
Moshe
is Hashem, one is Hashem. In heaven and the earth.
in the heavens and the earth.
Who knows 11?
I know 11.
11 are the stars in Joseph's dream. 10
The
are
stars in Joseph's dream. 10 are
these.
these
9 are the months before a
commandments.
baby is born.
9 are
8
the
are
months
the
before a
days
baby is
before
born.
a week.
7
7 are the days of the week.
7 are the
6 are
days
the
of the
books
week.
of Mishnah.
Six of the
5
books
are the
of
books of
Mishnah.
Torah.
5 of the
4 are
books
the
of
mamas, and 3
Torah.
are the papas,
4
and
are
2
the
are the
mamas,
caps
2
that
are the
Moshe
papas,
brought.
and 2 are the
1 is
tabbies that
Hashem,
Moshe
1
brought.
is Hashem, 1
1
is
is Hashem,
Hashem.
1 is
In
Hashem, 1
heaven.
is
Na,
Hashem.
na, na, na,
In
na.
the heavens and the earth.
Who
La,
knows
la, la,
12?
la.
I know 12.
12 are the tribes
I
of
know
Israel.
12. 12 of
11
the
are the
tribes
stars
of
in
Israel.
Joseph's dream.
11 are the
10
stars
are
in
the
Joseph's dream. 10 are the
9 are the months before a
commandments.
baby is born.
9 are
8
the
are
months
the
before
days
baby is
before
born.
Upreit.
8 are the
7 are
days
the days of the
before
week.
birth. 7 are
6
the
are the
days of the
books
week.
of Mishnah.
6 are
5
the
are
books
the
of
books of
Mishnah.
Torah.
5 are
4
the
are
books
the
of
mamas, and 3 are the
Torah.
papas,
4
and
are
2
the
are the
mamas,
caps
and
that
2 are the
Moshe
papas.
brought.
2 are
1
the
is
tabbies that
Hashem,
Moshe
1 is
brought.
Hashem,
1 is
1 is
Hashem,
Hashem.
1 is
In
Hashem, 1
heaven.
is
Na,
Hashem.
na, na, na,
In
na.
the heavens and the earth. La, 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 la,
Okay,
la.
so this one we do all in one breath. We do, who knows 13? I know 13. And then 13 are the ways we talk about God. So we take a big deep breath. 13 are the ways we talk about God. 12 are the tribes of Israel, and so on and so forth. We do it really fast to get it all done in one breath. Are you ready? I can't hear you. Are you ready?
Yay!
Woo! All right. Who knows 13?
I know 13.
13 are the ways we talk about God. 12 are the tribes of Israel. 11 are the stars in Joseph's dream. 10 are the commandments. 9 are the months before a baby is born. 8 are the days before a breed. 7 are the days of the week. 6 are the books of Mishnah. 5 are the books of Torah. 4 are the mamas, and 3 are the prophets, and 2 are the tabs that Moshe brought. 1 is Hashem, 1 is Hashem, 1 is Hashem. 11, na, 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 na.
Bravo.
Very
And
good.
thank you for the mysterious assistant in the background.
That was Daniel.
Daniel, thank you. All right, so we're going to wrap up, and then I'm going to leave the YouTube video running for a while. So if any of you want to stay on, you can watch the others, because we have a lot of nice selections. Just so much, it's hard to pick. But we're going to do the last blessing, which is the Nirtza. It's all accepted and praised and welcome. And we say, Chasidu Pesach kehilchato, kechol mishpato vehukato, kasher zachinu lesaderoto, ken nizke lasohoto. Zaksho ein me'ona, kol mekadat mimana, karov na'en tu'ei kana, peduyim letzion berina, peduyim letzion berina. May you soon lead the ushers of your stock, bringing the redeemed to Zion in joy, lishana harba'ah b'Yerushalayim. Next year in Jerusalem, the Jerusalem rebuilt, lishana harba'ah. A healthy Jerusalem. Okay, so now I'm going to put us all on the screen. Share the screen with everybody. Let's see if I can get.
All
right, so at least we can see all of you here. We have a nice crowd that joined us. You can see here. So I'm going to wave to everybody. Now I've got Hadgadia.
There
Okay, Jack Black.
came a goat, there came a kid that father but for two zuzim. Hadgadia, Hadgadia. Then came a cat that ate the kid that fathered but for two zim. Hadgadia, Hadgadia. There came a dog that bit the cat that ate the kid that fathered but for two zim. Hadgadia, Hadgadia. Then came a stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid that fathered but for two using Hadgadia, Hadgadia. Then came the fire that burnt the stick that bit the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid that fathered but for two using Hadgadia, Hadgadia. Then came the water that quenched the fire that burnt the stick that bit the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid that father but for two using Hadgadia, Hadgadia. Then came the ox that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burnt the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid, that fathered but lose him. Then came the butcher that slaughtered the ox, that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burnt the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid, the father but lose him. Then came the angel of death, that slayed the butcher, that slaughtered the ox, that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burnt the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid, that father but lose him. Then came the Lord our God, King of the universe. There's no sound for God. That smote the angel of death, that slayed the butcher, that slaughtered the ox, that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burnt the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid, that father but for we use him. God, God.
Now, that's his style. Okay. Well, I want to greet everybody once again.
Hey, one of my personal favorite version melodies. We've got matzah.
What
about Daino? We've got maror. We've got shank bones. Who could ask for anything more? Okay, hold on here. Shank bones are not vegan. I'm vegan, so I have to object here.
Go on self-play.
What else do we have on Passover? We have matzah. We have maror. For anything more? Okay, hold on here. Shank bones are not vegan. I'm vegan, so I have to object here. What else do we have on Passover? We have matzah. We have maror. We have parsley. Parsley's vegan. Karpas. Let's do that.
This is our shank bone. It's a carrot.
Got matzah, we've got maror, we've got karpas. Who can ask for anything more? We've got manna in the desert. We've got Moses. Who can ask for anything more? Old man Pharaoh, he's behind us. You won't find us at his door. We've got freedom, we've got Torah, we've got our God. Who can ask for anything more? Who can ask for anything more?
Bravo. And a few others here. No.
So we remember the moment when we are about to cross the Red Sea, thinking about what might happen. And we sing this song to the tune of Disney's Under the Sea. We sing, we'll cross the sea. You think that we are all stuck here. You think that we have no choice. We work in the sand and muck here. But what if we raise our voice? Just trust that our God will save us and that we run far away where nobody will enslave us. So come with me, don't delay. Oh, we'll cross the sea. We'll cross the sea. Life will be better. They will get wetter than you and me. Back on the side, we'll slave away. But over there we can all play. So if you dare run from this Pharaoh, we'll cross the sea. This is an old favorite called That's a Matzah. When your bread doesn't bake and it's not a mistake, that's a matzah. When it breaks in your hand like hard grains of sand, that's a matzah. We recline and we talk about Moses. We drink wine and eat lots of harosis. Sephardic Jews think it's nice to eat green beans and rice with their matzah. Ashkenazi Jews say we should stay far away from those foods. Keeping track of the rules is so crazy that you could just matzah. But one food's always right on this Passover night. That's a matzah.
Could you hand that big plate over here?
So for our final song, I want to share this with you. It's really more of a song that Adonai would sing to us, Adonai's people, as opposed to us singing together. And I'm honored to bring it to you in that fashion, and I hope that it sticks with you in your mind and in your heart. Think of me when you explain just what the matzah means. Remember me when you combine salt water with your greens. Think of how your lives would be today if you were still in slavery. When you're sitting at your Seder, spare a thought for me. Think of me when you are drinking your 4 cups of wine. Think of me during Dayenu and when you recline. Think of how you sang with Miriam along the shores of the Red Sea. When you're sitting at your Seder, stop and think of me. Think of me when you recall why you observe this night. Think of me, love me with all your heart, your soul, your might, because of all the things I did for you when you were in captivity. There should never be a time when you don't think of me.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, I'm going to put us back on. Okay, we're running late into the night. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share at this point. Going to wave to all of you.
Cantor Goralnik, Rabbi Norbert. Remember me by any chance? Cantor,
what?
I work with you somewhere. I don't know. All right. Anyway, don't worry about it. Another time.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Welcome to Hollywood Temple Bethel. We are online at Zoom also on Shabbat morning. If you look, I think the email that I sent out had also information about Shabbat morning. And if not, this is recorded, so it's going to be on YouTube. Right now, it's under a channel in my own name. It says Norbert Weinberg, so you can try to find that. I'm going to be transitioning this to a Temple HTBL channel on YouTube. That's the next step coming up. So I want to wish all of you a happy and wonderful and healthy Pesach. Everything. And healthy. Above all else, healthy. So we can get out of the shelter and sit with our friends and families, whether it is in this congregation together or in any other way that we can think of. Okay, and everybody else it's fine. I'm glad. Whoever left, it's fine. And we're happy that you are all with us for this evening. Chag Sameach, a happy and joyous Pesach.
Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach.
You too.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Glad we could do it.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you in person.
Thank you.
All right.